Hello everyone, my name is Meg Moonbeam and welcome back to my YouTube and Rumble channels. I'm very happy to be here with you all today to share a special video about the astrology of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So I'm going to be diving deep into his birth chart, his current transits, what's ahead, and also his synastry with President Donald Trump. So I'm of course doing this video the day after RFK Jr. has suspended his presidential campaign and has endorsed President Trump and talked a little bit about what he's going to want to be doing moving forward in the Trump administration when hopefully Trump gets elected. So before we get into it, I just want to mention, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube and Rumble channels. And I do offer personal astrology readings that are available in the link in the description box of this video, as well as my husband Jens and I are going to be hosting a Canada weekend soul family retreat the last weekend of September 2024 in the Niagara region of Canada, where we'll be doing live astrology and conspiracy lectures, meditation, sound healing, ecstatic dance, and much, much more. So you can go check that out over on my website, MEG Moonbeam. So let's check out, first of all, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s birth chart, which is very, very interesting to say the least, and proves that astrology, Western astrology, is real because it's totally accurate as usual. So, first of all, I want to mention that, and I don't mean to bash any other astrologers out there, to each his or her own, do whatever you want. I'm all about individuality and freedom. I notice there's quite a few astrologers out there saying, well, I'm not going to get political. Okay, I'm not going to share my political views. Now, if you're meeting me for the first time, I am a freedom fighter. I am a freedom lover. I am a truther. I am a part of the freedom movement. I am a part of, my core values being those of freedom and sovereignty. So I discuss that a lot on my channel. And I love Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I respect this man so, so much, not because he's got a famous father, famous uncle, of course, his father, Robert F. Kennedy, his uncle, President John F. Kennedy, but because of who RFK Jr. actually is, and not just the words he says, but the actions that he has taken. He is a leader in free speech, in standing up against the, corporate capture of the governments. He is a medical freedom advocate. And I just have so, so much respect for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for not only, talking the talk of what a lot of us freedom-loving people want to hear, but he walks the walk. He was censored off of everything during, the situation in the past few years when he was speaking out about experimental shots. He was speaking out about the efficacy, of those shots. I got to be careful here with my words because I'm on YouTube and Rumble. Among so many other things he's done for the environment, just who he is, I really, really respect this person a lot. And I was personally very happy to see his presidential run. And I was excited, to be honest with you, for whether Trump was going to win or possibly RFK Jr. going to win. And one of my predictions that I am going to say in this video is I do feel that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a future president of the United States. Might not happen this election cycle of 2024, but I do think that it is very possible to happen in the election cycle of 2028. And I will get to that when we get to the future chart of 2028. So yeah, I'm political, I'm a truther, I'm a freedom lover, and I freaking love Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as so many do in our movement. So I'm not going to pretend that I don't. I'm not afraid of saying that. And, this man has stood up and lost a lot. He lost his freedom of speech on social media. His, family, friends, even wife have issues with him saying some of the things that he's been saying and now endorsing President Trump. So he is, sacrificing a lot to be in the leadership position that he is in. And I have a lot of respect for this man. So, okay, astrologically, this is so cool. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a Capricorn sun, and he's got a stellium of planets in the sign of Capricorn. And what's really interesting, first of all, he was born the day before a full moon lunar eclipse in Cancer. So RFK Jr. is what we call an eclipse baby. President Donald Trump is also what we call an eclipse baby. And when you're someone that is born the day of an eclipse or within, 5 days before or after an eclipse, eclipses are the biggest events that happen in astrology, and these people usually have crazy ass lives with very intense turn of events, possibly even crises, big accomplishments. And there's a theme of, destiny and fate with them being here. They have very interesting and exciting life paths and tend to be very powerful individuals, being an eclipse baby. His sun is at 27 degrees of Capricorn, which is interesting because the Pluto of the United States of America in the astrological chart of the USA is 27 degrees of Capricorn. So RFK Jr. has his sun exactly conjunct the Pluto of the United States of America, which makes me feel like he has a fated role in the country of the USA. Pluto deals with power. Pluto deals with revealing. So with him having his sun conjunct the Pluto of the United States of America, he could definitely become president of the country at one point because Pluto deals with power and very big leadership positions. But Pluto also deals with revealing secrets and information. And why do you think RFK Jr. has been censored? Because he has been revealing a lot about the funny business that has been going on with the governments of US, revealing the health lies and illusions, right? His Capricorn stellium sits in the 6th house of Virgo, and Virgo deals with health and the medical system, as well as Pisces in the 12th house of Pisces. But I am so proud of RFK Jr. because he is exactly on the right path, in my personal astrological opinion. He is here to help liberate the United States into positive, and I'm hearing Spirit say free health again. So, with his Capricorn stellium, including his Sun, Mercury, Venus, his North Node, his fate and his destiny and higher purpose in this life, and his Chiron, all in Capricorn in the 6th house, he is here to be of service, and he already is being of service. And anything that has to do with health or wellness or the healing arts, medical freedom, is totally in alignment for him to be a part of in this lifetime. And not only is he in alignment with that, he really is a leader in that. And I think it's so cool that in his speech yesterday, when he suspended his presidential campaign, he said that he has been offered a role in President Trump's administration to help, in his own words, save the children from the health crisis that is going on in the United States. And he was getting very emotional and tearing up in his speech that he did yesterday on August 23rd. I'm filming this video August 24th, 2024. He was getting very emotional talking about how sick the children are in the United States, how sick the people of America are, and he wants to put a stop to that. And he knew in his heart that he couldn't say no to this opportunity, even though there are things that he disagrees with on Trump, that it's more important to save the children, to bring medical truth and freedom and wellness. So it's in alignment with his chart. North Node in Capricorn is, yes, governments, yes, politics, but also leadership. And for him, that's in the 6th house of health, of wellness, of being of service. RFK Jr. is someone that, and I don't know exactly what his financial situation is, but he's the type of person that if he wanted to, he could just ride off the coattails of the family that he comes from and get sponsorships and donors. And he doesn't necessarily have to go into politics, but with that 6th house stellium and his North Node in the 6th house, he feels very strongly it's a part of his destiny and his mission to be of service, to not just sit around with whatever riches, his family has, or whatever wealth opportunities that his family has and that prominence, but to actually be of service. And he is doing that. And I am just so proud of him that he is doing that. So It's interesting too, because in his birth chart, his sun is at 27 degrees. The sun not only represents our identity and our conscious expression in this lifetime, but can also represent our father. And his sun is at 27 degrees, a Gemini degree, and his sun is conjunct Mercury at a critical degree, conjunct the sun. Gemini rules things being doubled, also rules truth, information, freedom of speech, busyness. And, his son, he kind of had, and I don't mean to speak for RFK Jr., but when we think of his father, we also think of President John F. Kennedy Jr. We think of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and President John F. Kennedy Jr. And I don't mean to speak for RFK, but I would guess that they were both like father figures to him. And, Gemini degrees rules things that are doubled. And his sun, which can represent his dad, is square Neptune in an opposition to the South Node and also Uranus, indicating, possible death of the father at an early age, Neptune in the fourth house, Neptune in square to Sun, and even possible shooting of the father, assassination with Uranus conjunct the South Node in the 12th house of Pisces, assassination in opposition to his sun, which represents the father. So in his chart, it shows that, the father either died or went missing or disappeared at an early age, which of course we know his father, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., was assassinated, as well as his uncle, which I think was probably a big type of father figure for him as well, was obviously also assassinated. His sun in square to Neptune not only indicates, loss of a father possible from an early age, but also possible addictions, alcoholism, drug use. And he's got that almost exact. Neptune at 26 degrees of Libra and square to his sun, 27 degrees of Capricorn. And some of you probably already know this, but RFK Jr. is a recovering alcoholic, and I believe drug user as well. I might be wrong about that. I know he was an alcoholic. Might have been drugs as well. And he is in recovery, and according to his own words, he goes to, I'm not sure whether it's AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, or another recovery program. He does that every single day. So that's very good for him as a sixth house stellium person, to have healing daily routines. And, with his sun in square to Neptune shows, possible alcoholism, drug use. I'm very proud that he seems to have overcome that and is taking daily routine steps to stay in a healthy, positive space. Also, it's important to mention that his sun is conjunct his north node, only off by 3 degrees. And when we've got the sun conjunct our north node, we know from a very early age what we are here to accomplish and what our life purpose and destiny is. So I feel like Bobby is very, very different. And this is just something I'm intuitively feeling. I feel like he's very, very different from possibly other members of his family or other people that may have come up in a similar situation like him, because he could have just sat around and not done nothing and just been this famous dude that's Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s son and President John F. Kennedy's nephew, and done talks and, made lots of money and partied a lot. And I'm sure he did do some of that, but he probably felt from a very early age, being a Capricorn, North Node in Capricorn conjunct, that he had a big mission to do here, to be of service to humanity. Sixth house, and having to do with governments, politics in some sort of fashion, ruled by Capricorn. So he is a very powerful individual, and he is definitely what I like to call in natural alignment with his astrological placements. Now, RFK Jr. is not a typical Capricorn with 5 major placements in Capricorn, because, Capricorn rules emotionlessness, coldness, depression, and he's got his moon in Cancer and is a Leo rising. So those are 2 very positive, uplifting signs. The moon is actually at home in the sign of Cancer, and for him sits in the 12th house of Pisces. So he's actually really, according to his astrology, very sensitive, very empathic. I would even classify him as probably like an intuitive empath. very gifted, not just in business and politics and public speaking and the practical side of life, the technical side, but also with intuition, spirituality. He likely has a very strong spiritual connection, and very, very honestly empathic. And that's something that you can feel when you listen to RFK Jr. talk, is he really has that Cancerian kind of vibe that you just want to give him a hug. He's very loving. He has a very nurturing energy coming off of him. And it's because he's a moon in Cancer. He's also got his Uranus in Cancer conjunct his South Node. So the South Node represents the most recent past life experiences that we are coming from. And he's coming from recent lifetimes where he was nurturing others, where he might have been a woman, he might have been in divine feminine roles or working with women. So he comes into this life with that loving, nurturing, feminine energy, and is moving towards his North Node in Capricorn of bringing those South Node and Cancer gifts into the public space, into being of service, into the health field, government, and politics as well. And with his rising sign being in Leo and at 2 degrees, the supreme degree, according to Nicholas Stoyanovich, which means to be the best at something. Leo rising deals with famous people, rock stars, politicians, people that we freaking love as a collective. It's like a rock star energy. And I've never personally met RFK Jr. I would love to maybe meet RFK Jr. one day. But one thing that I have heard from people that have met him is he's got this energy that everybody feels when he walks into the room. He is like, it's like a rock star. It's like Elvis Presley entering the room. You know how everyone would freak out when Elvis Presley, or we even see that with Donald Trump, who's also a Leo rising. So he's got that Leo, the sign ruled by the sun, positive energy that comes off of him that draws people in, and he is a natural leader for sure. And Leo risings tend to be naturally very heart-centered. Leo rules the heart. And we see him, he comes across as someone that speaks from his heart, that shows his vulnerability and his empathy with his moon in the sign of Cancer. And so it's just interesting that even though he's got all that Capricorn, 5 placements in Capricorn, he's got that beautiful moon in Cancer, Leo rising, which lighten things up for him and makes people gravitated towards his naturally very positive energy, for sure. And with his rising being at 2 degrees, which Nicholas Stoyanovich, one of the great astrologers of our times, calls the supreme degree to be the best of, when you've got 2 degrees, that's you are the best at something that you do. So I feel like, and there's a few different markers showing up in his astrology, that he could potentially be going down in history as one of the best politicians, political workers of all time that made a mark, that made a difference, but even possible future president. So we will see about that. Okay, let's look at RFK Jr.'s current astrological transits, and I'm just going to change my chart here. Just bear with me one moment, you guys. And let me know in the comments how you feel about, RFK's decision. Sorry, the screen is moving. I'm having like a totally Mercury retrograde moment right now. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments about his decision, to suspend his campaign, his decision of endorsing President Trump, how you're feeling about it gut level. I'm feeling really excited about it, and I think it's so badass. I just feel lots of positive energy, and I'm very, very happy about it. So let's take a look at his current transit chart. Okay, so it is important to mention, now this is something a little bit in the past, but it is important to mention because it relates to now. The new moon total solar eclipse that we had on April 8th, 2024 was at 19 degrees of Aries, exactly conjunct RFK Jr.'s midheaven. So let me actually just backtrack for a moment here. So in this transit chart, we've got in the inner rim is RFK Jr.'s birth chart. in the outer rim is where the planets currently are located today as I'm filming this video on August 24th, 2024. So having a new moon total solar eclipse, which was the Great North American Eclipse, 19 degrees Aries, exactly conjunct your midheaven, that is up-leveling professionally. That is entering new levels of leadership in your career, in your professional life. New moon eclipses are new beginnings, new opportunities. Aries is leadership, and that's right on his midheaven, which is the start of our 10th house, work, career, politics, politicians. So of course he gets this opportunity to join the Trump administration and really make a difference in terms of health, and probably there's going to be maybe even more that he's going to do moving forward. And I need to do a deep dive on Trump's astrology. I've been talking about Trump's astrology in a lot of my content, but I promise you guys that I will do a deep dive video specific to President Trump, his astrology, his upcoming aspects, all that stuff. But looking at RFK Jr.'s transits, it's pretty badass. It's not totally perfect. There are some challenging things going on, but it's pretty badass, and it makes me feel like President Trump could win the election because, yeah, he's got RFK Jr. has some things showing he's entering a very high level of responsibility and leadership moving forward over the next year period. So not just that new moon total solar eclipse exactly conjunct his midheaven, wowzers, super powerful, but also he's having a Jupiter return. Okay. That is, Jupiter, I like to call, if you follow my content before, I like to call Jupiter lucky ducky Jupiter. He is the planet of luck, abundance, and blessings. He just likes to give us stuff for free. He loves us. And, well, all the planets love us, but it's very nice when you've got positive Jupiter transits. Or a Jupiter return is when Jupiter is back in the sign as it was when you were born, which happens every 12 to 13 years. Interesting, okay, very, very interesting that yesterday, August 23rd, 2024, when RFK Jr. made his announcement to suspend his campaign, actually, I'm going to put this to the 24th so we can look at the exact chart here. And what was it? It was at 2:45. He went live at 2:45 p.m. Exact Jupiter return. Holy crap. Okay, so he was born with Jupiter 17 degrees Gemini yesterday, and I'm convinced RFK Jr., I know you, RFK Jr. Let me just say something here. Okay? I feel like you have a personal astrologer because everything you've done until this point, RFK Jr., has been fucking perfect. Okay, excuse my language, astrologically. But if you don't have a personal astrologer, you're like totally in natural alignment. The universe is on your side because you're doing all these major decisions and speeches. I've been paying attention to you on literally like the most perfect possible days. So he's probably got an astrologer, and if he doesn't, damn, this guy's in alignment and he's got the universe on his side, because he came out with that announcement to step down exact Jupiter return. Yesterday, Jupiter was at 17 degrees of Gemini, and this week we're having exact Jupiter 17 degrees of Gemini in square to Saturn, 17 degrees of Pisces. So, yay, he's got a new role moving forward in Trump's administration. This is bringing even more eyes to him. This can help him to become president of the United States in the future. But with that Jupiter in square to Saturn, it was at a cost, Saturn. This was not easy for him. He had to suspend his frickin' campaign, okay? So I could be wrong about this, but I genuinely do think that this was a big challenge for him to do. I think he was serious about, possibly becoming the president of the United States. And he had to sacrifice something, delay. Saturn is delays, right? So he is suspending, he is delaying moving forward with his presidential campaign. But Jupiter, exactly conjunct, this is freaking crazy. It's, okay, even though he's suspending the campaign, he's endorsing President Trump, he's being gifted a position that is totally in alignment with his North Node, totally in alignment with his chart. North Node is the most important part of our chart because it's our destiny and our purpose, to work in medical freedom, to be of service to humanity at a really high level of leadership. So, of course, he said, yes, President Trump, I will take that. Thank you very much. Exact Jupiter return. Very positive new association. I don't think President Trump is going to screw him over, according to this astrology. But Jupiter square Saturn, it was at a cost. It wasn't easy. He had to suspend his own campaign. Also, don't know if you guys have heard about this, but RFK Jr.'s wife is like not a fan of Trump at all. And his family, RFK's like siblings, put out, in my personal opinion, a disgraceful public statement. You can go read that on Kerry Kennedy's social media, saying that him endorsing President Trump is a betrayal of his father and his father's values. Okay, that is like really evil and dark and disgusting. So he's having marital challenge, probably family challenge, and the challenge of having to suspend his campaign. So this didn't come easy to him, but exact Jupiter return, pretty badass, if you ask me. Also, he's having crazy astrology right now. Also, transit Pluto, which is currently at 0 degrees Aquarius retrograde, is conjunct his Mercury, Sun, his whole Capricorn stellium, in particular his Mercury and his Sun. So he's got transit Pluto conjunct his Sun right now, which when we've got that, most people won't even have that in their lifetimes because it takes Pluto over 248 years to do a zodiac revolution. We can enter high levels of power, Pluto. Or if we're on the good side of life. If we're being on the bad side of life, it can reveal major secrets, our dark side. It can be crisis, actually. So there's many markers here with the eclipse conjunct his midheaven, Pluto on his Sun. Yeah, even though he's suspending his presidential campaign, he is going to be in a very big position moving forward. That's for sure. So he's also got transit Neptune in sextile, very good aspect to his Sun. So there is divine intervention, divine protection at play. And this might feel like a very, very spiritual time for him even. Now, what I'm about to say next, I want to be wrong about this. And of course, I don't want RFK Jr. to have to go through this, but I do have to say with Pluto, being in Capricorn, he's retrograde, going to go back. Sorry, Pluto being in Aquarius retrograde, he is going to go back in Capricorn for the last time in our lives from September to November. But when Pluto ingresses fully into Aquarius and gets to 2 degrees Aquarius, he enters RFK Jr.'s 7th house, which could possibly bring divorce or breakup. So not saying that he's going to break up or divorce Cheryl Hines, but it is an astrological possibility. Okay. And I don't know everything about their relationship. I'm not trying to project anything onto them. I want their marriage to be successful, but just saying as an astrologer that we do see with Pluto in the 7th house, possible divorce, possible breakups with marriage partners, but also with committed work partners. So I'm sure there's maybe some people on RFK Jr.'s team that, maybe don't want to be a part of endorsing Trump. That could be something that comes up with that. Any committed relationships that are for his highest good, though, will strengthen and transform and up-level with Pluto entering his 7th house. So very, very interesting. Those are some of his current transits that he's got happening at the moment. And now I'm going to bring up the Synastry chart between RFK Jr. and President Donald Trump. Let's take a lookie at this. So the inner circle is RFK Jr.'s birth chart. The outer circle is President Donald Trump's chart. Now, this is very, very interesting because Trump's vertex is conjunct Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s Capricorn stellium, exactly conjunct his Chiron and on his Sun. The vertex in astrology, this VX symbol that I'm hovering my mouse over here, represents fated people coming and going in our life, fated people in our life. And if you've got your vertex conjunct someone's sun, moon, rising, nodes in particular, or vice versa, those are fated relationships, fated people coming into your life, okay? And it's very, very powerful. So Trump's vertex is on Bobby's sun, and Bobby's vertex is on Trump's moon and south node. This relationship between the two of them astrologically is a karmic connection. And, you know, we've also got Trump's Saturn almost exactly conjunct Bobby's south node, only 1 degree off. So they've got conjunctions with the nodes. The nodes are about our fate, our destiny, where we've come from, where we're going. This feels like it's not just a connection in this life. This is a karmic relationship where they're working something out together. And it's not easy with Saturn conjunct the south node. This is a very big job that they have together to work out between themselves personally in their own karma. But Saturn is also big responsibility, governments, politics, that they're into in this life together. So I actually like that they've got their vertexes conjunct each other's sun and moon, because that makes for a very powerful bond on the soul level. They may have been family members in past lives. They may have been friends of past lives. They may have worked each other in past lives. And not that past lives are the most important thing, but they're playing out something, they're working something out that is not just of this lifetime. It goes into their karmic soul history, if you will. Really, really cool that Trump's Uranus at 17 degrees of Gemini is exactly conjunct Bobby's Jupiter at 17 degrees of Gemini in Bobby's and is it Trump's 11th house? No, just Bobby's 11th house, the house of Uranus and Aquarius. So this is like very positive friendship, group association, blessings if they work together, blessings in anything that has to do with working together towards the age of Aquarius and the future. I'm seeing this as a very powerful synastry and combination between the two of them. And this is something, them working together, this is something that I think they chose to do on the soul level before even coming here, to be honest with you guys. And they could be a part of some really cool innovations or inventions coming up with Trump's Uranus conjunct Jupiter. They are innovative together, and they also inspire each other creatively to be the best that they can be. Now, they don't agree on everything, okay? They got Trump's Mars is conjunct Bobby's Pluto, so that can be power struggles, not agreeing on everything. In Bobby's second house of values, which we already know that they don't agree on everything. But how cool is it that, you know, their whole kind of platform for yesterday was unification in their speeches, unity, and, you know, moving forward, we're not all gonna frickin' agree on everything, right? And they are showing us that we can still unify, we can still work together and do really positive things, Uranus conjunct Jupiter, even when there's power struggles, even when there's major disagreements. So, yeah, I think they're going to have, they probably already have, and I think we'll continue to have some heated arguments about things with that Mars conjunct Pluto, but that's also really good for assertiveness, for, being in your boundaries, saying what you have to say, and action and assertiveness. So very, very powerful. I like it. I think they are divinely supposed to be working together, and this is a very positive, powerful combination. Of course, there's challenges in there, but I think that they could actually become really close confidants, not employees. I was going to say employees, people working together despite their differences. Right? And I think they actually bring the best out of each other, and they inspire each other with that Uranus and Jupiter conjunction. So pretty freaking cool, if you ask me. Now, last chart that I want to bring up is the chart for 2028. Okay, so I'm filming this obviously in 2024. And it's looking like Trump is probably going to be, the upcoming president of the United States. 2028, will Bobby be the president? Okay. Well, I'm seeing a few things here saying, yes, it is very, very possible. So 2028, 4 years from now, the North Node will be in the sign of Capricorn, which rules the structures and systems of life, politicians, governments, responsibility. And Bobby's North Node is in the sign of Capricorn. So he will be having a nodal return, a transit that we only have every 18 or 19 years. And very fated life events and changes happen where we up level even greater into our life's purpose when we have nodal returns. So around that election, 2028, nodal return in politics, Capricorn rules politics. That shows it's a possibility. Also in 2028, Saturn will be transiting in the sign of Taurus and will be in his 10th house of being seen publicly, high levels of leadership, up-leveling, being a president, okay? The highest levels of responsibility and leadership, Saturn in the 10th house. And in 2028, transit Uranus will be in Gemini, conjunct his Jupiter in the 11th house. So that is a very inspirational, positive transit of shocks, unexpected events, and also moving into the future possibly as an innovative new leader. So I do think that it is highly likely that RFK Jr. will be the president of the United States one day, possibly in 2028, even though he has just suspended his campaign and endorsed President Trump. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video that I put together today. It's very last minute. It's very impromptu. I just wanted to hop on here and share some of my astrological insights on the astrology of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you'd like to see more of my content, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my MEG Moonbeam YouTube and Rumble channels. If you'd like to have a personal astrology reading with me, you can book at the link in the description box below. And check out my Soul Family Weekend Canada retreat that my husband Jens and I are going to be hosting end of September 2024 this year. Spaces are filling up and we're going to have so much fun in the Niagara region doing daily live lectures, meditations, ecstatic dance, sound healing, among some surprise things. So I love you all so, so much. Blessings to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at this time of huge change and transformation, and cosmic love your way to all of you. Bye, everybody.